I really don't have any sense of style. Like, have you seen what I wear in these videos? All right, so in today's video, we're doing something a little bit different. If you've been hanging around here for any amount of time, you know that I like to do quilt blocks. In today's video, I'm gonna start doing my upcycling series. And I'm going to do some tutorials on how to do some simple and easy upcycling projects that anybody can do. If you have a sewing machine, that would be great. If you have a serger or fancy up in here, that'd be even better, but not everybody has one. And again, it's not necessary for this project. Grab your sewing gear and let's get to it. I have dabbled in a little bit of apparel. That was actually probably within the past 5 years, mainly in the form of doing circle skirts and doing patchwork hoodies. I went on this bender where I just went to a thrift store and I just started getting all of the things and all of the hoodies, and I was like, I'm just gonna try it. I'm gonna show you how to do this shirt right here. You see that? It's got a t-shirt that is in the middle, and then it's got flannel as the arms. It's very, very simple. It's one of the most basic upcycling things that you can do. That's only the beginning. You can literally do so many other things. You can add embellishments, you can add lace, you can do some patches, anything that your very heart desires, you can do on these shirts. Okay, so for this project, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a t-shirt. Any t-shirt will do. And I'm also using a flannel button-up shirt. We're going to be doing some cutting, so make sure you've got a good pair of scissors available. And you've also got some pins or clips that will help you line things up whenever we put our flannel and our t-shirt together to do the sewing. Once I got my flannel shirt laid out, I try to get it as flat as possible. I just kind of eyeballed onto the left and right of where the buttons were, and it was approximately 6 inches on either side is where I did my cuts. I just chose 2 lines in the flannel and kind of followed those lines to do the cuts. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut through both layers of the flannel all the way from the bottom to the shoulder seam. You're going to do that on both sides of the button part. I'm sure there's an official name of, what the button part is called, but for this video, it's called the button part. So now that you have your 2 pieces of flannel, that's going to be your arms for your finished product, we're going to take our t-shirt and we're going to lay it out nice and flat. Now, what I wanted to do was on the flannel shirt, there was a very small pocket on the right-hand corner. I did end up cutting that pocket in half, but on the t-shirt, I wanted to try to keep more of the pocket if I could. I ended up making like a double pocket kind of thing. But yeah, so what I did was I took the t-shirt and I decided how much of the arm seam, like the shoulder seam, that I wanted to keep on the top. And I wanted to make sure that everything was even. So I did go ahead and cut one side, and I guess what I could have done was folded the shirt in half and done it at the same time, but sometimes the commercially done shirts aren't really very even. So I decided to just cut one side and then put it on the other side and kind of use that as a template. So once you get everything cut, what you're going to do is we're going to be basically combining these 2 together. And you're going to be making one long seam on the left side and one long seam on the right side. Now, the way that I did this was I took my piece of my t-shirt and I put it inside out. You're going to leave your flannel sleeves where the right side is out. You're going to be tucking the flannel inside of that middle t-shirt piece whenever you go to sew everything back up. One thing I did do before I started any of this as well was I found where the top shoulder seam on the flannel set. Once I marked where the top of the flannel shirt was and where the shoulder seam of the t-shirt was, I started right there before I started pinning everything down. I wanted that part to line up as well as possible, and I should have started sewing at that part as well, but I did not. I started on an end, and on one of the sides I did end up to where it got a little bit off and it didn't hit where I wanted it to hit. But it's okay, because what I'm probably going to end up doing is embellishing this shirt anyway, and then you'll never know that those things don't line up. If you cover it up, you'll never know that happened. That's my philosophy when it comes to upcycling. And then you're just going to clip or pin your pieces together. Now, depending on the size of your shirt and the size of your flannel, one of them may be longer than the other, and that's okay. Now, once you get done pinning everything all the way down on both sides, what you're going to do is you're going to take it to your sewing machine and you are going to sew all the way down both sides of those seams. So you'll be going down one seam on the front of the shirt, going around the shoulder seam, and then going down the back of the shirt on both sides. On the first seam, I actually did a straight stitch, and then I went back with my serger and finished it up. Now, I believe that you can just use a serger stitch because it's 4 threads that come into one when you use like a serger or an overlocker. I believe that they are similar or synonymous in some way. I'm not familiar with overlockers. Again, I don't know a lot about apparel. I know very, very little, but I am learning. What you can do is, if you don't have a serger, is you can do a straight stitch to help give it some more strength and to kind of lock in that raw edge that's going to be on the inside. You can do a tight zigzag stitch. Now, depending on your machine, this could be having set your stitch length at like a 2 or something like that. You just want to do a very, very tight zigzag stitch. But that's going to help kind of lock in those raw edges and make sure it's going to give it extra strength. I believe it's one of the things that they used to do back in the day before sergers were even like a thing. That's kind of how they did the seams. I believe that's correct. Leave me a comment if that's wrong and I'm completely like out of touch. But yeah, I believe that's something that I saw in a video or read somewhere. But anywho, what you're going to do is you're going to combine those 2 stitches on both sides of your shirt. So this is what my shirt is looking like right here. But here I am, I'm looking at the shirt, and once I got done sewing everything, I was like, well, like I said, these don't really match exactly. But again, if somebody's going to be really looking that close at your stitches, they should probably back up. They should probably give you a little bit of space. But yeah, this is where the shirt was a little bit long, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to cut it all the way across so that it's even with the bottom of the flannel shirt. Thought about hemming it, and then I thought, well, I mean, again, the shirt's not going to fray, and it's going to kind of give a little kind of a rustic look. So I just cut it right across and went ahead and rolled with it. But yeah, this is going to be the finished result. Again, this is just the baseline and the very basic kind of thing that you can use to make it super fancy. This gives you the foundation to where if you wanted to embellish a shirt, you could take some fabric paint and do a crazy design on there. If you wanted to keep it low key and keep it to where it's subtle and be like, hey, yeah, I made this, you can do that. You could add trim, you could add lace, you could add patches. You could do so many different things with this baseline shirt. That's one of the things that I really love about Upcycle. The next time that I touch that shirt, I'm probably gonna add like some patchwork, add some flowers, maybe add some. I've thought about messing with bleach, do like bleach writing. I can't even get into all of it in this video, but that's what future videos are for. I appreciate y'all watching this first installment of Christina's upcycling journey. What are some of your ideas on things that could be added or embellished on this shirt? Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear your ideas. If you like what you see, I would love to have you in the community. I do post videos once a week. If you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe to see more. I do appreciate you watching. I will see you next time. Have a good one.